Now we're going to discuss the principles of composting. Composting is an alternative for waste management that can be carried out prior to the collection of the waste or after the collection of the waste. So it can be implemented on buildings or in communities, small communities, where composting activities are encouraged. Composting can also be carried out on site at the landfill, and so it depends on the dimensions of and the amount of waste that is being generated, and whether it's possible or not to carry out composting on site or not. So a composting system provides many benefits towards achieving sustainability, such as replacing fertilizer use, increasing the quantity of produce sold, and diverting organic waste from landfills. Composting is an important element of sustainable waste management as it offers a way of processing biodegradable waste fractions. Up to 40% of households' waste is food waste, and food waste can be directly composted. So that means a significant reduction of methane on landfill. Keep in mind that greenhouse gas, the methane is a greenhouse gas 25 times more toxic than carbon dioxide. So what is composting? Composting is the microbiological transformation of organic materials under controlled aerobic conditions. So this is an anaerobic process, which means that it requires oxygen. There are two main phases to the thermophilic composting process. Why am I calling thermophilic? It's because it is carried out at temperatures higher than environmental normal temperatures. So the first phase is pasteurization, which generates heat within the material to significantly reduce the number of viable pathogens and plant propagules. Then the second phase is maturation, which sees the decline in microbial activity and an increase in biological stability of the organic material. Since this reaction is exothermic, it generates heat. And that is why it's also a good way of eliminating pathogens from waste. One of the main products of composting is the creation of humus, which is a dark organic material that forms in soil when plant and animal matter decays, but also when this transformation during composting is occurring. This humus that is a very important material for soil. Composting has several objectives: to reduce the mass of waste to be managed, to reduce the pollution potential, to destroy any pathogens, and to produce a product that can be marketed or used by the local community. We can group as the benefits of composting as observed in this figure. So it is a natural alternative for toxic chemical fertilizers. So instead of applying chemical fertilizers for soil, we can actually use the compost material that is being generated. Also, it enhances the structure of the earth soil and suppresses plant diseases. It lowers the carbon footprint. It encourages growth of beneficial bacteria and fungi for a healthier garden, and it reduces the amount of carbon dioxide. An appropriate composting type of technique is identified as important for a good compost production. So these are the key parameters for achieving composting. We need to look at the oxygen concentration, the particle size and structure, the carbon to nitrogen ratio, moisture content, temperature, and pH level. If you have a look at the figure on the left side, you will see a graphic where we have the temperature increase at the first stages of composting, which are called active composting, And then a decreasing temperature once we go to the stages of called curing and storage. The first two stages are the ones that we just discussed before. The process is carried out not only by bacteria but also by fungi species and other type of microbial species. In the figure in the middle, we can see what are the inlets and outlets going on during this process during the composting of material. So we have the generation of CO2 and water, and we have also the generation of heat. And this is carried out through the attack of microorganisms. We need oxygen for these microorganisms to oxidize the organic matter, and then we will also have as a product leachate that is rich in nutrients. The carbon to nitrogen ratio is a parameter that we're going to discuss more in detail because it's key for composting. Because, for instance, if nitrogen is too low, the composting process will be slower, and also the temperature that is needed to be achieved, it might be more difficult to achieve the temperature.